You want to bring that out here?
Yeah, I gotta go get my.
Okay.
Live.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Good evening, Trip Nation. Amy's going to get me the pad so I can see who's on. Hope everybody's doing well, getting ready for Christmas. Tony and I are.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to go caroling next week. That'd be scary.
It would be.
So you want to, I guess you're on, right?
I should be.
Yeah. Let me see if she's getting the pad. So wait a few seconds, see if everybody's jumping on.
Sounds good. Shut this down.
Let me see. Okay. All right. We don't have very many on right yet, so let's give it another minute or so. It's starting to climb now. Hope everybody is out working, doing good. And well, I guess you can't get it. I don't know how many states have closed down. I know California is pretty shut down. How are you guys, Tony?
We're rocking and rolling, man. We don't.
They got you guys open, so they're not bothering you, restaurants and.
Not really. Kansas is kind of doing their own thing, which is good for business, I guess. So
yeah, I'm going over to. We just signed up that Indian restaurant. I'm going over there for lunch tomorrow.
Nice.
Food is good. It's really good.
It's really good.
He actually wants to get involved and help open restaurants.
It's always nice.
Yeah, he's fired up. So that's why I'm going over to see him then to get the final integration.
Very cool.
Yeah. You want to do a little prelude to getting started?
Up to you. Yeah, you can start the party. Let me know whenever you want.
Yeah, whenever you're ready. I think, what time is it here? 6:03. Just give it one more minute. Hold on just a second. The other thing, guys that are on the call, we might have an announcement later this week or first part of next week. That's going to be pretty nice little announcement to get out in front of the game a little bit. Might actually have a couple this week.
Announcements are good.
Yeah, they're both good announcements. So it's all starting to come together. So they're working on the cosmetics of the restaurant dashboard now.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's the last bit. Well, why don't we get started and then the other ones can catch up.
Perfect. All right, ladies and gents, want to welcome you to part 3 of our duplication training. And we're definitely going to be doing a lot of training over the next few weeks. I know we're already planning one for Saturday, and I'll give you the details on that. But we want to, really as a company, make sure everyone has the tools that they need to succeed. That's really what our goal is, and our job is, from the TripDelivers family is to basically make sure that all of us as affiliates have everything we need at our fingertips, on our apps, on our phones, on our computers, to go out and really share the good news of TripDelivers, because there's a lot of restaurants right now that are struggling. There's a lot of individuals that are struggling, and they're looking for a way to really get back to where they were before this pandemic hit. And TripDelivers is an amazing opportunity that, can really not only help the restaurants, obviously, that partner with us, but help the marketers, help the drivers, and really help everybody get back on their feet and really get back to where they were, or maybe way ahead of where they were before, kind of things got crazy in 2020. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, and we're just going to go through just our PowerPoint, on part 3 of how to duplicate. And in this training, there's really kind of 4 things we covered, 4 main basics that we covered: recruiting, education, motivation, and now, part 3, we're going to cover the final thing that brings it all together is duplication. And that's really where you create wealth in America. Anytime you can create leverage in your income, that's how you can get wealthy. And I remember one of my first mentors, he chatted with me. And I think at the time I met him, he had about 20,000 people in his organization. And, he said, you and I can't compete with that, Tony. How many hours can you work in a day? And I thought about it, I was like, I don't know, 12, 14, 18, and he's like, what if you don't eat, you don't sleep? I was like, well, 24, that's all you got. Right. and he said, okay, so 24 hours in a day, how many days in a row do you think you could go nonstop for 24 hours? And it's kind of funny. I don't know, half a day, maybe. I said, I don't know. I had buddies in the military that could maybe, go 2-3 days. They say after about 3 days without sleep, you are more of a detriment to your unit and your brigade and everybody else than you would be a help. And so I said, call it 3 days, as the human being, that's about all we can do. And he said, all right, my 20,000 people, what if they just worked part-time for an hour today? I said, well, that's 20,000 hours. And he's like, yeah, I mean, that's the idea behind duplication. That's the idea behind creating leverage. And that's really what this training is all about, is how to go out and create an organization that's out there gathering restaurants, that's out there recruiting drivers, that's out there sharing the TripDelivers site with customers and building that customer base. And you're making a percentage off all of that as it happens. And so I want to go through really the final part of this training, the duplication part. And when you bring new people in, and again, as we do this training, I want to share this training with each and every one of you as you're already a leader, as you're the CEO of your own organization. And that's how you need to view yourself, because the CEOs, they work with other executives. Not that there's anything wrong with the local manager, not that there's anything wrong with the sales rep. I mean, they're all very important to any company, any cog of the wheel. But as you get to the big organizations, most of the CEOs at the higher levels, they're working with senior vice presidents. They're working with the CFO. They're working with the chief operations officers. They work with other VPs, other C-level execs. And that's really, as you start to duplicate, that's who you want to start seeing yourself working with. And so as you build your team, you're going to find really 3 types of affiliates and marketers that you bring on board. The first is the dependent marketer. The second's independent. And then the third is more of a leader, someone that can be depended on. And the dependents, in the beginning, when you're brand new, you want to be as teachable and coachable as possible. And we talked a little bit about that in part 2 of our training, but the leadership is there literally to teach you everything they know. The other beauty of a business like Trip is none of us are going to hold back. We're not going to, show certain people how to really get the restaurants, and then other people, we're not going to tell them all the secrets of getting restaurants. It's like everybody that goes out and gets restaurants is better for all of us. Like the more restaurants, the more customers, the more drivers, the better. So your leadership, none of us are going to hold back. We're going to share everything we know with every single person out there so they can be equipped to go out and succeed. When you're brand new, though, you're going to be dependent on your leadership to talk to your prospects, potential marketers. Your leadership's going to be able to teach you the basics about the business. They're going to be able to answer questions. So you really are someone that kind of sets people up into the information so they can hear it, and then you listen and learn. And when you're dependent, there's nothing wrong with that. All of us came through these phases, and we all started as dependent. When I first, met with Bob, I was dependent on him to teach me the vision of Trip and where it needed to go. And, it's funny, but Bob was dependent on me in some areas with restaurant delivery, because I've been in that industry since 2016. And so there's all these different phases you can go through in learning. And depending on what you're learning about, you might be dependent, you might be independent, or you might be someone that can be depended on. But in TripDelivers, when we're brand new, you want to rely on your leadership to really take the reins, to help you get restaurants, help you get drivers, help explain the information to potential marketers. And you watch and learn so you can become independent. An independent leader, you're going to be able to do your own calls. You're going to be able to speak at any meetings. You'll be doing your own Zoom presentations. You're going to be proficient in what we call the 7 basic skills to create an empire, to really create duplication, which is prospecting, inviting, presenting, following up, closing, getting the newest members started, and then promoting events, promoting to the next training. And those 7 skill sets, once you can master those and teach others how to master those, you're going to have a massive organization. You'll be able to understand and teach the compensation plan once you're independent. You'll be able to create an organized schedule of meetings and calls each week for not only your new people, but some of your leaders are going to plug into your organization and your teaching and your training. And you're basically going to be productive pretty much all the time. You're getting restaurants, getting drivers, or helping your team get restaurants, get drivers, get customers, get marketers. Independent, that's really the people that, you are really going to build markets around. As you start to get people that are independent, they're going to use your help every now and again, but they won't really need your help as a leader every now and again. And then what we obviously want everyone to strive to be is to be dependent on. Once they get to where they're dependable, their team is plugging into them. They're teaching their people how to teach the organization. But you want to know the basics so well that you could go through them in your sleep. You'll be able to teach people how to do anything in the business. One, by showing them how you do it. You're going to teach them how to prospect, invite, present, follow up, close, get their newest members started, promote events, those 7 skill sets. The way I've done this, my philosophy really to create dependable leaders in my organizations is 4 things: tell, show, try, do. Unfortunately, most people in this type of business, they tell. Hey, you need to go get restaurants. Hey, you need to go get drivers. Hey, you need to sign up marketers. And that's what they do. They tell their people what they need to do, and that's it. And they feel like they're being a leader because they're barking out orders, but the people are going to go out there and fail miserably. Because when you tell someone what to do, most people, unless they're a natural, unless they've got a background in restaurant delivery, they're going to fall flat on their face. And I don't want to demean brand new people, but I almost look at teaching a business like this for somebody that's brand new to it, like you're teaching a child. If you've got a son or a daughter that's 4 years old and you're teaching them how to feed the dog, you can't just tell a 4-year-old, hey, go feed the dog. Lord only knows what would happen. Like if they've never watched you feed the dog before, they know the dog eats maybe, maybe the dog would get Honey Nut Cheerios, maybe it would get something out of the fridge, Oreo cookies. Who knows what a 4-year-old would feed a dog if you just said, hey, go feed the dog. And I say that, I don't want to demean people in this business like you're a 4-year-old, but let me be honest with you. When I first started going out to get restaurants in 2016, you might as well have told a kindergartner to go out there because they would have done just as well. I got shot down every time I walked into a restaurant. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what to say. And I learned kind of trial by error. I was like, I would walk out of a meeting where the restaurant owner didn't want anything to do with our delivery company. And I'd walk out and I'd be like, all right, don't say that, and don't do that. They didn't like any of those things. And I'd go to the next meeting. And if there was a couple things they liked and then they shot me down, I was like, all right, they like that. Don't say that or that. But at least I got a couple good ones now. And then I went to the next restaurant and I ended up, over time, I started signing them up. And then what I wanted to do is I wanted to duplicate. So I told some of my new partners, I remember Salina, Kansas, one of the first places I opened a second location for our delivery business. My friend Jaron, I was like, listen, you're going to need to go get a bunch of restaurants. So I told him, hey, you're going to need to go get a bunch of restaurants. And then I was in Salina. So I was like, come with me. I'm going to show you how to get restaurants. So I cold went into restaurants with him and I did all the talking and I showed him how to get a restaurant and I got some. I signed a couple of them up. And then a couple of days later, I said, all right, let's go again. And I want you to lead the charge. All back, clean up for you. I'm going to stay in the background. I'll help you if you need me, but I want you. You've seen me go get 4 restaurants now. I want you to go get one and I'll watch. And I would let him try. And he made mistakes. but I critiqued him and I helped him. I told him what to do. Hey, you need to sign up restaurants. I showed him, I went with him and I signed up some restaurants. Then I let him try it and he's going to mess it up. If you tell your 4-year-old to feed the dog and then you show them how to feed the dog and you pour a little bit of the food in the bowl and then they see the dog eat and then you let them try, I can assure you the first time they try, it will not go well. The bowl will be overflowing. They're going to up dump the bag or they're not going to give enough. They're not going to do it right. But then you help them and you go, hey, Jimmy, hey, Mary, hey, Sally, make sure you get the bowl about, halfway full. That's what we're going for. And you let them try and they mess up and you let them try and then they get it. And then you could tell a 4-year-old, hey, can you go feed the dog? If you've seen them do it correctly over and over and over again, they can do it without you watching them. And that's really what my buddy Jared ended up doing. I told him, hey, you're going to need to go sign up restaurants. I showed him, I went with him. Then I let him try. I helped him. And then he started getting them. And he's personally signed up more restaurants than me. Brian Burles is another guy, a buddy of mine that opened a market for us in Wichita, Kansas. I showed him how to get one restaurant. I went in with him and he took over from there. I mean, he literally was a quick study. I let him try it. I watched him. We walked out with a restaurant under contract and I was like, all right, the guy's doing it. And the bottom line is most of the new people as they move into a leadership role, unfortunately will tell. Don't catch yourself doing that. Tell your people what they need to do to win. Show them what to do, how to get marketers, how to get drivers, how to get restaurants. Let them try it, critique them, help them, and then eventually they're going to do it. And when they can do it as good or better than you, that's when you've started to create that duplication within your organization. When you start to create that duplication, those people that are dependable are creating leaders throughout your organization. The question I always ask, would you rather be a leader with a team of followers or a leader with a team of other leaders? And one leader could bring you a massive organization. So if you've got 10, 15, 20 leaders, look out. The goal is really to get the newest members independent as soon as possible. The more leaders we have, the more enrollments that come in, the more leaders that we have, the higher the retention, the less people will fall between the cracks. Duplication is something everyone in this business should strive for. And you always want to do what duplicates. Don't do what doesn't duplicate. And that sounds maybe a little confusing. Here's what I mean by that. TripDelivers has tools set aside for us in our back office, and there's more and more coming on board. There's tools on how to acquire restaurants. We have what we call our restaurant one page and our comparison one page. There's 2 documents, 2 pages. When you're going in to sign up a restaurant, you should have those 2 pages printed out with you. I would take them to Office Depot, Office Max, whatever, print them out, laminate them, or get real nice cardstock and get, a few of those. And I leave them with the restaurant owners when I go in on appointments. I want really high quality marketing collateral that I can go and, hey, I go through it with them and then I leave it with them so it resonates. And the bottom line is you want to use those tools. Just because you might be able to what, I can just explain this. I don't need to use the tools. And you might be a good enough salesperson to go out and sign up restaurants just by shooting it with them, just by talking, just because you're good at what you do. You're a salesperson, you're likable, you're trustable, and you know how to transfer belief. And the bottom line is you don't need those tools. And you can do it quicker without them. You don't even need to waste time. That's fine, but that doesn't duplicate. You need to understand most people aren't going to be as good at sales as you are. They're not going to be able to just go in and chat with a restaurant owner and lock them up as a partner. The bottom line is if you follow the system and you use the tools, anyone, if I'm brand new and I have no sales background, if I've never gotten a restaurant before in my life, but I see you take these 2 documents and just read through them and answer a couple questions and then sign that restaurant up. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you know what? I can do that. I can read, I can follow through these 2 documents and then sign a restaurant up. That's simple. If I sit down beside you and I watch you just slick, smooth, and you're so good and you've got that silver tongue and the restaurant owner is just eating out of the palm of your hands and signing up, you might sign that restaurant owner up in front of me. And I'm sitting there in my head going, I'll never be able to do that. I'll never be as good as Bob. I'll never be, able to sign up that many restaurants. That's not what we're going for. You want it to be simple and you want it to be duplicatable. So that's what that last, portion of this slide means is use the system. because the system is duplicatable. And when you tell, show, try, do with your new people, you've got to get them to that fourth portion, the doing part. And for them to get there, they have to think that they can do it. And that's really, kind of what I want to finish the duplication training up with is the goals. What's our goal? Every time I go into a meeting, every time I go into an appointment, every time I set up and start a new business, every time I partner up in a business, I want to set goals. And I want to know what I'm trying to accomplish for that minute, that hour, that day, that week, that month, that year, that decade, if it's long-term. And there's different types of goals, but you don't want to develop a goal on what you think you can do. You set it based on what you want, and the bottom line is I've got short-term goals and long-term goals. You've got goals where you can achieve it. You've got goals that are stretching a bit. If everything goes well, I think I can do this. And then you've got goals where, you might think it's unattainable. The most successful people in the world go for that one, just so you know. They go for that one. You've probably heard the phrase, you shoot for the stars. If you miss, you end up at the moon. But the bottom line is, if your goal is to go out and you say, you know what, I know in, the month of December, there's, half the month left, give or take, I can sign up 2 restaurants, no problem. That's not a goal to set then. If you know you can do it and it's so simple, then you go, you know what, I could sign up 2 restaurants. Signing up 10 would be crazy. But is there any way to sign up 20? And that might seem unattainable, but what you've got to understand is you're not on your own. See, when you think of goals, you can think of not only goals that you can hit, but goals for your organization as a whole. You got your short-term goals versus your long-term goals. You might want 1,000 restaurants within your organization, which is a great goal to have long-term, but to have 1,000 restaurants, you need to have 1 restaurant first. And so you've got to set those short-term goals. And maybe it's getting 20 restaurants by the end of December, you and your organization. And the best tip I can give you is understand what it's going to take to achieve that goal. Know who in your business you will have to help you achieve that goal. See, that's the kicker. We've got individuals that have signed up over 60 restaurants by themselves. See, you might think it's unattainable, and then you recruit a marketer that goes and signs up 20 restaurants in their first week. You just hit your goal. See, it's not just you. When you understand duplication, you understand leverage. A lot of people working together make it way easier to hit a goal than any one of us could ever do working by ourselves. So always think about your organization and put your organization first. Take your eyes off yourself and put it on your team. Zig Ziglar, one of the best sales trainers in history, probably put one of the achievement philosophies to win in life, to have success. His philosophy is probably one of the best I've ever heard. And some of you guys have heard it before. If you haven't, it's a pretty simple philosophy. Help enough people get what they want, and you'll automatically get what you want. If you help enough other people get what they want, you will automatically get what you want. It's a pretty simple concept, but my thought process is this: is you start to develop leaders and you start to bring in an organization, and somebody tells you, hey, I want to sign up 10 restaurants in my organization this week. Help them do that. Help 10 people do that. And now you've got 100 new restaurants over the week that just came into your organization. You by yourself signing up 100 restaurants all on your own in a week, you might not have enough hours in a day to follow up and to do that the right way. Without, if you're coming from a dead start, you don't have any connections in the restaurant industry, it's really not that it's impossible, but it's much easier if 10 people work together to sign up 10 restaurants in a week versus one person signing up 100 restaurants in a week. And if you eventually want to get to 1,000 restaurants, you might not have 1,000 restaurants in your hometown. So you're definitely going to want to have an organization helping you achieve those goals. And the bottom line is when you're looking to achieve goals, they require commitment. Commitment's really the simplest definition is do what you said you were going to do long after the emotion of the moment has passed. So if tonight you get excited, you see the training, you go, you know what, I am going to sign up 10 restaurants between now and the end of December. That's exciting. And you're going to be fired up to go out and do it. And then 3 days from now, if you've only got one restaurant in and you're running behind schedule a little bit, it's easy to kind of lose that fire, to lose that drive. Don't let that happen. People who are dependable, they're the fuel tank for everyone else. When I first started in the industry, I used to have mentors, and I remember, I would get excited and I would be committed. And then it was almost like my gas tank. I started running on half a tank and then a quarter tank, and I got close to empty. And I would go to a training or hop on an event like this, and I would plug into that leader, and he would fuel me up, or she would fuel me up. And the bottom line is I got back to full, and then my tank would start to go down again. And then eventually I got to a point where my tank would last a lot longer. And then over years of training and development and reading the books that I talked about in the education section and working with mentors, people like Bob McNulty, working with people that were more successful than me, that understood, different things in the business world that I'd never even thought of. And I started to see how they operated. The bottom line is, over time, I became that gas station where other people, not only did I never run out of gas, it's like I was a fuel tanker. I always had gas. I always had places to pull into and fuel myself up. And the bottom line is I could literally have people plugging into my gas station nonstop and fill them up and fill them up and fill them up because I was committed. I was always on point. And Bob's that same way. I mean, when I first met Bob, I know when he sets his mind to do something, it's over. Like he's already done it. The question is the time frame. That's it. Is it going to take 2 years or 1 year? That's the question you ask Bob. Once he sets his mind to do something, it's already done. He's already won the game. The question is it going to be over in the second quarter? Is it going to be over in the third quarter? He's going to need to play the whole game out. And the bottom line is that's what commitment will do for you. It'll make you the winner before the tip-off. It'll make you the winner before the kickoff. It'll make you the winner before the game's even played. Once you're committed and you set your mind to do something, you will be able to do it. And the other thing is consistency. Do the right things long enough consistently. I kind of look at this as popcorn. If you've ever made microwave popcorn, it's kind of simple. You throw the bag in there. Let's say you got the microwave that works in 3 minutes. You put it in for 3 minutes and it pops popcorn. Unfortunately, in the business world, most people don't get to the level of success that they desire because they don't leave the bag in for 3 minutes. They aren't consistent. And it takes consistency. Here's the deal. If you go grab a bag of popcorn and you put it in the microwave and you say, you know what, I'm going to run it for 10 seconds. And then you stop it. And then tomorrow you come back and you put 20 seconds on there and then you stop it. And then the day after you do 10 seconds again and then you stop it. And then you come back and you do 30 seconds that next day and then you stop. Then it runs out of time. Then a day later, you go back in there and you put it on 30 more seconds and then you stop. Then a couple of days later, you go back and you put 10 more seconds on. You could do that for years. You could pop it for a total time of like 40 hours, but you'll never have popcorn out of that bag because it doesn't work unless it's 3 minutes nonstop. Pedal to the metal, microwave cranking. This business and winning in any business is the same way. You're committed to what your goals are, and then you're consistently pursuing them every single day. And that doesn't mean you've got to be 24/7. It doesn't take a year to pop the popcorn. It takes 3 minutes straight. So my advice to someone is, if you're busy, if you have another career and you want to, build your TripDelivers empire, and you say, you know what, I'm going to work for an hour a day, then what I would tell you is that's what it takes to pop your popcorn, just an hour a day. But don't skimp on it. Maybe it's an hour a day, 5 days a week. If you want to take the weekends off, that's cool. Like, just be consistent though. An hour a day, Monday through Friday, that's what you do. And if you do it and you're consistent, you're going to start getting the results and hitting those goals that you set for yourself. And the last thing is patience. You want to be patient with your progression, but impatient with your goals. This is a marathon. We all want to end up at the finish line where we've built up a company worth billions of dollars. And that's doable here with TripDelivers. But even though it's a marathon and it might take us, 12, 24, 36 months to get to our end goal of that marathon, we want to be running sprints in between. We want to have short-term goals. Like I mentioned earlier, maybe it's signing up your first restaurant. That's a great goal to have. Maybe it's to sign up 5 restaurants between now and the end of December. Maybe it's to get 20 restaurants within your organization by the end of January. Whatever your goals are, be aggressive with them, sprint towards them, but understand to get to that end goal and your progression, just be patient. It takes time. Anything worth doing takes time. You're going to be bad before you're good. Most people in life, they look at, they're standing in the middle of the room and success is over here and failure's over here, and they run as fast as they can towards success. And that's common sense, but that's not how business works, and that's not how the world works. We're standing over here, failure's here, and success is over here at the other end. You have to run through failure. You have to go screw up trying to get restaurants before you're going to be great at getting restaurants. You have to mess up trying to bring on new marketers before you get amazing at bringing on new marketers. So approach it like you've got to go through the wall. You've got to hammer through failure before you get to success. And once you learn how to do that, once you're committed, once you're consistent, once you're firing on all cylinders, you will create duplication in your organization, guys. And that's really what this system is all about: how to recruit, how to educate, how to motivate, and eventually how to duplicate your entire organization. And one of the things we're going to work on duplicating here shortly on Saturday, December 19th, 9 a.m. Pacific time, is restaurant acquisition. I want to share with each and every one of you how you can go out and acquire restaurants. And our organization that we built from 2016, within 3 years, we had thousands of restaurant partners in over 300 cities in the United States. We started out from one city in Kansas and ended up in over 300 cities in under 3 years. And the bottom line is, I know how to acquire restaurants because I made mistakes, because I went in and screwed it up left and right. But I got to where we created a system that not only I went out and got restaurants, but we built an organization, a team of people, that we have individuals that have signed up hundreds of restaurants personally. And so I'm confident that I can teach each and every one of you who are committed and who are willing to be consistent and patient with your progression, but impatient with your goals, how to go out and acquire restaurants. And we're going to teach you step by step how to use the tools that are in place to go out and acquire restaurants. And that doesn't mean you're going to get every single restaurant you walk into. I had restaurants that I didn't get for 12 months, and then I finally got them because I followed up. I had other restaurants that I walked into and locked them down right away. And I had some restaurants that I never got. They just never wanted to do delivery. I had one restaurant, it was one of those hibachi places. And they did the meal in front of you, and the owner just wanted that experience. He didn't see his food as just food. He saw it as an experience, and there was nothing anyone could do to persuade him to deliver. And that's fine. But I still followed up with him. I still tried, because I had other cities where those hibachi type restaurants were some of our best delivery restaurants. They were doing the biggest volume, and I would show him the checks. I took this restaurant $7,000 for the week. I showed him how much they made. That's extra profit in their pocket, and he still didn't budge. He was successful. His restaurant was doing great, and that's what he wanted, that experience. And the bottom line is, you can't win them all. But instead of stopping after I didn't get him, instead of being less committed, instead of being inconsistent, I said, you know what? There's another restaurant next door. I'll go get it. I asked him for referrals. The best Chinese restaurant I had in that town was a referral from the Japanese hibachi place. He introduced me to a lady. She owned a Chinese restaurant. We locked that up first day I walked in. So the bottom line is, you might not win them all, but if they're gettable, the tools we're putting together and the training I'm going to share with you on Saturday, if they're gettable, you'll get them if you follow this system, guys. So appreciate you guys sharing some of your time this evening. Appreciate you guys going through all 3 parts of the training. If you have gone through all 3 parts, maybe you're brand new and this is your first training, is part 3. We have the recordings. Part 2 and part 1 are on the YouTube channel. I recommend you go through and watch them and start to set your goals, guys, and be consistent with your goals. If you're going to work an hour a day, then be consistent and do it. If you want to work full time, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 hours a day, be consistent, put in the work, and I can assure you, you'll start to get the results over time. I'm going to pass it back over to Bob, and again, look forward to training each and every one of you coming up on Saturday.
Hey, Tony, amazing training, man. I got to tell you,
Thank you.
It's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to bring, so you guys all understand, Tony's got real world experience. So he's not just talking about training what he learned in a book. This is training he's learned over his career. What works, what doesn't work. So you got real firsthand training in how to build an organization, how to duplicate yourself, particularly in the restaurant business, which we're all in. We need training. I need training on that. So I just can't tell you again how fortunate we are to have Tony leading the charge on training and bringing on new people. He's done some amazing stuff that you haven't heard about. You might hear about it in the next couple of days. We're doing some really good stuff together, and we really partnered up, and it's really good for us because now I'm changing my focus full on into the driving the business side of it. Now that the tech is glued down and we're pretty much over all the tech issues and all that stuff. So it's time to build. So Nashville's come along. Arias, I want to congratulate. He's building a team right now. He's going to get into the Nashville market and help light that thing up. We need about 200 more restaurants to come online before start hammering the marketing side of the business. So if you guys need some training wheels, jump into Nashville, start making phone calls, setting up other people. And if you make a phone call and the person says, well, I want to meet somebody, then have a contact in Nashville, one of our reps, and they can go in there and do the pitch, and you guys can figure out how to make money together. It's all about team building, and team building is the key to this. It's what he said, the very simplicity. You have 20,000 people in your organization, and they all work 1 hour a day. That's 20,000 hours. You can't work that in a lifetime almost. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, but that's the way you need to think if you really want to leverage what we're doing. The affiliate program, our pay structure is phenomenal. If you go to work, it's all there. You just got to go to work. So I want to hand it to Arias, who's going down to Tennessee and help build that organization down there and get that flying. And there's a number of other people that are going to be coming down that way also. One of the best things I think that you need to lock in on is when Tony talked about tell, show, try, and do. Those are 4 simple actions that you take that can take you a long way in your life and your career. Because if you think about it, it's not just doing this in business. This is how you should work your own brain in your own relationships, how you interact with people. Those are the things that, when you have a friend and you're always giving advice and all this stuff, and then he sees you not taking your own advice. Well, it doesn't work that way. People go like, oh, well, why would I take advice from that guy? Because he's not doing the do, right? He's just talking. So those are some of the things that are really important. One of the things I asked everybody when we started this, the first part 1, was to bring somebody new to the training. And you guys haven't done that. If you guys all brought one person to the next training this Saturday that maybe want to join your organization, may want to be a driver, may whatever, just bring one person. That's all you got to do, one. And you might find out you have some pretty good success with that. But when we're not building people jumping on a call, then it just tells me you were kind of stagnated. So start thinking about that, because we're going to start putting pressure on a lot of these markets right after the first year. We're going to get through the early stage, getting this company up. A lot of you have been here actually from the very beginning. A lot of those people that kind of left us a year ago, which is totally understandable, are starting to come back. I've been getting calls with people that have built 3,000 and 10,000 people in their organization from before, and they're all coming back. It's all going to catch momentum. I had a crazy thing. I'm not going to say the name of the company, but I had an email out of the blue asking me if I would take a meeting with another CEO. And I'll take a meeting with anybody almost. You guys know that. However, I want to manage my time, and the guy who wrote me the email just talked about what his business was about, which is our business is connected to that business. I don't want to say too much, but it's connected to that business. And I said, thanks a lot, but we don't use that product. And then the guy sent me back another email stating, I don't want to sell you my product. I want your service to help me, take your delivery system and launch it through my network of restaurants. And it's a staggering number of restaurants. So I almost screwed up by not doing. So anyway, we got that fixed. We got so many good things in the pipe. You guys are going to be amazed to see what's happening over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Santa's going to come a little early, hopefully. get this launched. And I want to keep everybody that's on this call tonight, come back on Saturday. It's going to be an exciting training. And I know most of you have sent me messages here, so I could go down the list and say hello to everybody. I see Leonard's on there. Leonard's, in case you guys don't know, is super sales guy. Terrific. Superstar. He just signed up a ghost restaurant down in Miami for us, and he's going to be leading the charge down in the Miami market. So a lot of you guys that are on here, I just want to say good evening to you guys. I'll see you on Saturday. We'll have another knockout call. You guys are going to enjoy this. Tony's got his game on, and he never stops playing, man. The guy's in the game 24/7. So anyway, everybody, I want to say good night. You want to say anything, Tony?
No, man, appreciate everything you're putting together for us, Bob. I'm definitely looking forward to really getting this thing rocking here over the next few weeks.
Yeah, we'll get it. We're going to get it really nailed. Okay, guys, everybody have a good night. Thanks.